This actually proves that not all birds are real after all.
He's talking. What the heck?
Now, for a while, there have been multiple conspiracy theories on birds being fake, and even though that's not the case with all of them, in reality, this is just how the government keeps tabs on you.
I know.
Did you snap back into it, bro?
Oh my gosh.
All right, we gotta go, guys. This is getting weird.
Careful, Willow.
Okay, yeah, I was scared of him. Like,
Dude, get out of here. Whoa.
Someone from Illinois, an unarmed black woman, was shot the other day in her home by a deputy sheriff. The deputy has since been charged with murder. You've said police would get immunity from prosecution if you win. Why should someone like that officer have immunity, in your opinion?
Immunity?
Immunity.
I don't know the exact case, but I saw something, and it didn't look good to me. It didn't look good to me. Are you talking with the water, right?
Yeah, well, police unions are not backing this person either.
Okay,
but again,
are they going to be charging the officer? I guess they're charging the officer.
So why should he receive immunity?
Well, he might not. I mean, it depends. It depends on what happens. I'm talking about people that are much different cases than that. We need people to protect ourselves. And by the way, in Chicago, as an example, a few weeks ago, July 4th weekend, they had 117 shootings and 17 deaths. Nobody wants that. Nobody wants that. We need to have our police officers have the respect and dignity back. In this particular case, I saw something that didn't look good to me. I didn't like it. I didn't like it at all.
So can you get a little more specific back to the immunity question? Who would make those
Well, right now, for the most part, people are protected by their unions, by their police unions, or by their police departments. But I'm saying if I felt, or if a group of people would feel that somebody was being unfairly prosecuted because the person did a good job maybe with crime, or made a mistake, an innocent mistake. There's a big difference between being a bad person and making an innocent mistake. But if somebody made an innocent mistake, I would want to help that person.
What would those exceptions be? What would determine
you
an
go
innocent
after
mistake?
somebody and it's a very close call and it's very dangerous. And you know, they have the policeman's life and woman is a very difficult thing because sometimes you have less than a second to make a life and death decision, and sometimes very bad decisions are made. They're not made from an evil standpoint, but they're made from the standpoint of
Mr.
what's
President,
wrong.
I would love
I think
if you
it's
can
a
answer
very
the question
nasty
on your rhetoric
question.
and why you
I
believe
have
that
answered
black
the
voters
question.
should trust you with another
I
4
have
years.
been the best president for the black population since Abraham Lincoln. That's my answer.
Better than President
That's
Johnson,
my
who signed the
answer.
Voting Rights
and
Act.
For you to start off a question and answer period, especially when you're 35 minutes late because you couldn't get your equipment to work in such a hostile manner, I think it's a disgrace.
I'm going to say it again and 1,000 times because there's a photo I'm about to show you. And MAGA, make this make sense. Now, what you're going to say is it's a photoshopped photo. It's not. Thomas Crooks was...
Kamala Harris took the lead in all of the betting markets. Kamala Harris looked as if she's now the favorite in this race. And these things go up and they go down. And I've told you guys not to panic. And since America is likely, according to the betting markets, to put an incompetent California communist as president of the United States, 2 weeks later, the sentiment around the lack of American leadership, the lack of American strength, and the lack of American economic power was proven today to be very dramatic. The NASDAQ has never in its history been down 1,000 points, ever, even temporarily, until today. Earlier this morning, the NASDAQ hit that threshold temporarily. Now, today, of course, is 2 weeks, as we have mentioned, after Kamala Harris became the presumptive nominee. All around the world, the economy is on the brink. The top Japanese stock market index fell 12% today. In Korea, their market is down more than 8%. Markets in Europe are all down big. And here in America, the Dow, the NASDAQ, and the S&P have all dipped about 2%. Trillions of dollars of value. Poof. Lost. Eradicated. I encourage all of you, do not look at your stock portfolio today. Do not look at your 401k. That is all brought to you by Kamala Harris.
Should you dare to criticize Kamala Harris, you are de facto a racist. That
Yes,
the only reason,
Gavin Newsom said that the other day.
the only reason that you would feel the need to criticize this black woman who's vice president is not that she's been completely incompetent in her job, which any impartial observer would conclude, but it has to be because of her skin color and her gender. And
even though that's why she was put in the damn position to begin with.
Joe Biden said publicly, I want a black woman. Right. And then he gets a black woman who is massively underperformed, which hasn't helped him at all. But no one's allowed to criticize her, because if you do, you'll be called a racist. And I find that one of the laziest tropes out there in modern society. It's a way of, I think we've discussed it before, but it's a way of stifling honest debate. It's a way of censoring legitimate criticism.
And one thing is for certain, it is close. We've had 4 major polls come out just since Joe Biden left the race and endorsed Harris. You have anything from a Harris +2 to a Trump +3, basically a tied race, all within the margin of error. We've also gotten some initial battleground state polling that's encouraging for Democrats, a tie in Pennsylvania, Trump up by just a single point in Wisconsin. That's better than Joe Biden was doing in both of those states. He was trailing in the 538 polling average right before he left the race. And it has been quite a honeymoon for Vice President Harris. Just in the space of a week. So a week ago, 35% of the country saw her favorably. Now it is up to 43. That includes a big jump among independents. She is now the very rare politician viewed more favorably than unfavorably, at least for the moment. On the other side, we've seen kind of the opposite happen for Donald Trump. Coming out of his convention and that assassination attempt, we talked last week, he had got to a 4-year high in favorability of 40%. Now it's down to the mid-30s, back where it's been for a long time. And J.D. Vance, this has not been a good debut week for him. The number of people who view him unfavorably jumped by 8 points in the space of a week. Look at that gap, 15 points underwater overall.
If the Democratic Party wants the black male vote, I'm not too sure they get it with Kamala Harris, but I know what she's going to do. She's going to do exactly what the Republicans just did in Milwaukee with our sister Amber Rose and with Hulk Hogan. Wait till you see the Negropeans who are going to speak at the Democratic National Convention. It's going to be a complete circus. I'm telling you what they're going to do. I believe they're going to grab the rappers and they're going to grab the athletes. They're going to find someone extremely popular within the hip-hop industry and the entertainment world to speak for Kamala Harris or whomsoever the Democratic Party convention nominates. I promise you, because they have to outdo Hulk Hogan and they have to outdo Amber Rose.
She will go down in history for locking up more black people for nonviolent crime, for things such as small amounts of marijuana, than any attorney general in a state of any state.
She was a bum 3 weeks ago. She was a bum. A failed vice president in a failed administration with millions of people crossing, and she was the border czar.
I hope we do have a young lady at some point become president of the United States. I can tell you how I think it will happen, because it won't happen in the normal course of events. Either the Republican or Democrat political party will nominate a man for president and a woman for vice president. And the woman and man will win. So you'll end up with a president, a male, and a vice president, a female. And in that term of office of the president will die, and the woman will become president under the law or constitution. And once that barrier is broken, from then on, men better be careful, because they'll have a hard time ever even getting a nomination in the future. But that's the way it's going to happen.